Please remember, while Fuller House is a family show, the Fullest House podcast is not. Therefore, listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to the Fullest House podcast, where today it's boys' night. Hell yeah.
Boys' night.
I'm Harrison Bloom.
I'm Zach Horowitz.
And I'm Mark Greene.
We have a very boy-centered episode. Actually, I guess every major plot line is centered around one of the male characters. I didn't think of it that way, but...
There are a lot of boys.
Yeah.
A lot of boys.
And it's very good. We liked this episode. This episode was really good.
Yeah.
It's even the episodes we like often they're very good. Like this episode was genuinely very funny to me.
Yeah, there were a lot of points where we were genuinely laughing. This episode's very quotable.
Yeah.
And after this one, because we recorded last week's episode yesterday, and we also said that was a very good episode. Guys, is Fuller House an actually good show?
We've said this, we've asked this before, but it's is it good now?
Because this is back-to-back episodes where we're like, oh, this is a very good episode. Because I feel like we've had episodes like that before, but never back-to-back.
After some slow seasons, it is very much picked up.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better than where we were at season 1.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, there's an interesting thing that I think early on episodes we liked, we were sort of like, wow, it resembles an episode of an actual TV show.
Yeah.
And now the episodes we like are just kind of this was just a good episode. I liked this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we open up with Fernando freaking out. Oh no, actually we open up with the driving subplot. Right?
We actually, and this is why I take notes. We open up with a Rube Goldberg machine.
Oh, the Rube Goldberg.
But Harrison was close.
Much like Pee-wee's Big Adventure or Back to the Future, we open up with a Rube Goldberg machine. So we know right away this episode is going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Max has made a Rube Goldberg machine, and it's really good, and he's going to go on TV. He's going to go on Wake Up San Francisco and present his Rube Goldberg machine.
Now that I'm thinking about it, they do throw a lot at us right at the top.
Yeah.
They open up with a Rube Goldberg machine, and we're just, and I don't know about you guys, but I was just sort of I guess Max is doing a Rube Goldberg thing, and then they're like, Max, aren't you excited to be on TV? And I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Maybe it didn't fully register with me because there are so many times these characters have been on TV or gone on stage or done something very strange that would pretty much make them minor celebrities at this point.
Yeah.
Wow, the weird family from San Francisco that always ends up at public performances and is on TV all the time.
Weren't they on stage at
New Kids on the Block?
New Kids on the Block concert?
Didn't they jump into the ring at a wrestling match?
Didn't one of their extended family members have a hit song that's still famous in Japan to this day?
Isn't one of their other relatives that guy with the woodchuck puppet?
Didn't one of them date Mariuszko of the Japanese boy band section?
Didn't another one date star baseball player Hunter Pence?
Oh yeah. And wasn't that person also a famous DJ that the world just forgot about overnight?
Isn't one of them a famous race car driver?
Oh yeah.
When you put it all like this
family is famous.
This family has done some shit. They'd be minor celebrities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in that way of hey, do you know this weird piece of trivia? The same person who did this, her sister did this.
The Tanner Fuller family and its extended life of weirdness.
Isn't one of them dating the team doctor for the Lakers?
Oh yeah.
It's true. It's all true.
It's a very fulfilling series of lives.
Anyway, but also important. But Max is going to be on TV for his Rube Goldberg machine, not for falling down a well.
Yes, that's an important distinction. And for some reason, Danny and Becky are really focused on the fact where it's we always thought that you'd be on TV for falling down a well. Not that we want you to fall down a well or anything, but if you do fall down a well, by any chance you happen to find yourself at the bottom of a well and you can't get out, call us. We're not going to help you. We're going to put you on TV.
If your grandfather, like, walks up behind you and pushes you down a well, not me, your other grandfather. But if that happened, like, I guess I would probably be the first person to call because you'd, like, shout up, Grandpa, why? Why have you done this to me? But, like, after you're done with that, my TV show.
Yeah, call me. Yeah, TV show.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a therapy session years in the future with Max as an adult being like, I've never been able to trust people again ever since my aunts and grandpa had a very creepy conversation with me where they heavily implied they wanted to push me down a well.
I feel like that's only the tip of the iceberg, considering, like, on many occasions it becomes clear that this house is just a cult.
Yes.
This family is a cult. And Max is, like, the one that got away.
Yes. Also, if we're moving on, very, very minor detail, but I did want to note it. Someone makes some comment about fashion, and Steph says, like, I have a great sense of style. And Kimmy says, Steph, you're wearing the same clothes you slept in last night.
Yeah, I think it's because Max asks Becky to help him pick out his clothes because Becky's the only one with a sense of style. And by the way, isn't, like, all these families, isn't their other sister running a fashion empire in New York right now?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I so often forget that Michelle exists.
I know.
Yeah,
dude, I didn't
really
even think about
weird.
that until you were talking about fashion. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
It's so odd.
Michelle and her clone, other Michelle, because there's two of her.
Yes.
In this universe, the Olsen twins both exist.
Well, there is an episode where, like, Jesse's family from Greece comes over, and there is a little cousin who looks exactly like Michelle, except with brown hair. And they're played by the two Olsen twins. So there is a doppelganger.
The Olsen twins.
There is
an Olsen twin
There is a
doppelganger.
Greek Michelle doppelganger.
Oh my
out
god.
there.
Oh my god.
That is a fun bit. I do like that as a bit, though.
That is fantastic. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
But anyway, other plot. You're right, Harrison. J Money is learning how to drive.
Our good sweet boy is growing up.
That's terrifying.
I was about to say, I put a question to you. Do you trust J Money in a car?
No, I do not. I do not.
I
And
do not
neither
trust him in a
does
car.
DJ. Because she comes in after they were driving, and apparently he never even made it out of the driveway before DJ gave up on him. Which, honestly...
Well, she says he was texting while driving.
Yeah, but she sent him the text.
Exactly.
It was a test.
But he was texting while driving. She was texting in a car. She was the passenger. She's in the right.
Well, she also says that it was a test to say, hey, don't look at your texts. And he failed.
Yeah, he didn't get very far. But this is an episode about trust, is really what it is.
Yeah.
And it's parallel.
That's the theme.
The episode of Full House, one of the first episodes I ever watched, where DJ had to learn to drive and had to deal with the same bullshit. So I expected it to just be a copy of that.
Yeah,
episode,
well, Danny
wasn't.
offers to
I was
teach
pleasantly
J Money how to
surprised.
drive. Danny offers to teach J Money how to drive, then J Money and DJ immediately tell him no.
Yeah.
I am so surprised it did not flash back to that episode of Full House.
Yeah.
Mark, you know very well that if it was season 1, it would have.
I know this show is growing. It's great.
Yay! It's becoming its own thing.
We should also note this is Candace Cameron Bure's directorial debut.
Yes.
She directed this episode, and guys, she did a good job.
She did.
Yeah.
I think genuinely, like, this is one of my favorite episodes we've seen of the entire show so far.
Yeah, but they do run through. I do like that they run through everybody. J Money's like, well, maybe Steph can teach me how to drive, and DJ's like, well, she drove a car through the wall.
Yeah.
So no. I'm gonna say no. Because I don't want you to also drive a car through the wall. Do you understand? I don't think you're hearing me.
And then he asked about Kimmy. Kimmy makes some excuse. I forget what it was.
I forget as well. I'm in my head. It's just Kimmy knows how to like pilot a submarine, but she does not know how to drive a car.
Makes sense. And then he asked about Fernando. He's like, oh, Fernando. Fernando's a famous race car driver. He drives for a living. And DJ's like, well, you see, Fernando has driven in 8 races this year and has somehow crashed 9 times.
57 times.
Which is honestly
57 times.
I wrote it down. It's not 9 times. It is 57.
57 times in 8 races?
Yeah.
No, I remember the number 57 showed up at some point. The joke was he drove 8 races and crashed 9 times.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
It really was, because I wrote down 57.
That would be even more impressive, honestly. That's like what, 8 races 57 times?
Follow-up joke?
That's an average of like 7 crashes per race, and like most people.
Maybe there was a different joke. Maybe my notes are wrong.
I mean, if it's 57 crashes in 8 races, that's honestly kind of impressive. I mean, most drivers stop after 1 crash for a race, but he's pulling an average of a little over 7.
He should get an award for most crashes. Unless there's someone else.
Do you think that, like his first race, he finished the entire race on foot, coming in a respectable 5th place?
Yes.
Of course. I will also say maybe there's like a loophole in the system where it's like if you crash, you get like a head start. So that's why he keeps crashing, to game the system.
Yes.
I almost want Tyler to look it up, because I now doubt that I wrote down the right number. But I did write down 57.
I remember the number 57 did show up at one point. I'm not sure it was. Maybe it was a follow-up joke.
I do not remember. But anyways, Fernando's out because he's crashed a lot.
Because he's bad at his job.
Yeah,
he's very bad.
He's very bad at his job.
How has he not died?
Because he's Fernando. Fernando's never gonna die.
Fernando's never gonna die.
Fernando will live forever.
Fernando is omnipotent.
I hope so.
Juan Pablo Di Pace, please come on our podcast.
Speaking of Fernando and his mortality.
Yes. His mother is coming to visit. Fernando's mom.
Which is worse than
Mama
death.
Fernando.
Much worse than death, yes, Harrison.
Yep.
So... And they're freaking out because she hates Kimmy for some reason. I mean, Kimmy's a very weird person, so I guess I don't entirely blame her. But
yep, it's that thing of like no one's good enough for Fernando, especially not Kimmy.
That's true.
Fernando's freaking out because they're like, because you see, she's very mean.
And so he comes up with this great idea of what if instead of letting her know that I am divorced and now re-engaged, we just like make up this huge lie, say that this is my house instead of the haunted house next door. DJ is the maid who lives here with her 3 sons.
I do want to read the exact quote, which I wrote down.
Okay, yeah,
not because it's super showy or you're getting it wrong or anything, but because there's a part of it that I really like, because Fernando says, or perhaps we could pretend that this is my house and that we all live here with DJ as our housekeeper and her 3 sons. I like that he starts with, or perhaps.
Or perhaps. What if?
Perhaps.
And hear me out.
Telling the truth. we can do this incredibly
or perhaps
weird thing.
we tell her this is my house. Hear me out. I know I don't live next door. Hear me out. We're still married. Hear me out. DJ's our housekeeper who lives with her 3 sons. Hear me out. The baby is ours.
He goes there so quickly.
Yeah.
Kimmy's like, I guess we'll just have to face our wrath. And he's like, or we implement a clever ruse.
I'm also just noticing in this episode, this is a very fast-paced episode, which I think is just funny. Like, a lot of things happen where it's like, clearly there was some thought into this, but it happens like immediately and it's very fast-paced and I love it. So like Fernando immediately comes up with this huge plan just on the spot.
He immediately comes up with this huge plan. Also important to note is that Ramona says, I don't know if I'm comfortable lying to my grandmother. And Fernando immediately says, I will pay you an exorbitant sum.
His demeanor completely changes.
We make this joke a lot where we say something in a silly way and go like, and they say it that way. But Fernando legitimately says it that way. He gets very intense and very angry all of a sudden.
I will pay you an exorbitant sum.
And also important, Ramona immediately goes, what's a white lie? Yeah. Ramona's in it for that money.
She's in it for the cash.
Going in that door.
Our girl Ramona.
All of that deception money.
Ramona's great.
Fernando, just this scene, he becomes so intense. I want him to like start talking in a British accent and take out a monocle. Or perhaps we implement a clever ruse wherein we say that I am the owner of this house and DJ is merely our housekeeper.
And furthermore, that I own the other house next door that I actually live in, and I will form an empire within the San Francisco real estate scene.
Oh, yes, and Fernando also says, and, you know, the only time she ever liked you, Kimmy, was when you were pregnant, so we'll tell her the baby is yours. And they're like, got it. Well, actually, Kimmy says, I can't do that. I'm not going to lie about, I'll lie about these other things, but I'm not going to lie about Stephanie's baby. And then Fernando's mother shows up, is immediately mean to Kimmy, and Kimmy says, this is my baby with Fernando, so you love me now, correct?
Yep.
My only question is, what was the plan? You know, are they going to say that they had a miscarriage 9 months later? And also that Stephanie had her own baby at the same time?
Or they're just going to keep going forever.
Forever. They're going to be like,
hey,
hello.
Steph, can I borrow your baby for a second? Kimmy, she's 17. Oh, well.
I also want to mention, IMDb points out, IMDb trivia, yay, points out, Maria Canals-Barrera, who plays Fernando's mother, is only 13 years older than Juan Pablo Di Pace.
Jesus Christ.
We were remarking how, like, it's weird casting because she's very young to be his mother. They put a gray streak in her hair to try to sell it.
She's becoming Cruella.
No.
Well, there are a couple things I want to say here, which is that I love Maria Canals-Barrera.
Yeah, she's great.
Grew up on Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah.
Grew up on Justice League. I mean, if you're in the Justice League cartoon, if you're Hawk Girl, you have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
You're never gonna. I'm here for Maria Canals-Barrera. It's a weird choice though, but also maybe it's intentional because
that's right.
There's some. I'm just gonna say it. There's some sexual chemistry between her and Jimmy Gibbler.
Yes, that is true. That is true. It's very good.
God.
She's very immediately into Jimmy, and he's kind of into her as well.
Jimmy is just great in this episode. He hasn't appeared at the point where we're still talking about it in the episode, but he shows up later and he's great. He has a very small role in this episode, but he makes it work.
He's so good.
He's so good. We love him.
But before we get to Jimmy, we should make a note. Guys, Max failed his social studies test.
What?
Oh,
this
no.
cannot stand.
Super failed it for real, and he means failed in the same way that we all mean failed.
He must be flogged.
And guys, you know what that means. In the words of J Money himself, he's not the only disappointment anymore.
Yay!
So many good moments, so many good lines in this episode.
It's so good. There are so many good lines in this episode. Where Max tells J Money that he failed, and J Money's like, wait, so I'm not the only disappointment anymore? And he just starts cheering.
He's so happy.
It's so good.
He like he spikes his iPad into the ground, and it's like, J Money, that's why you're a disappointment. You can't be doing that. It's expensive.
Friend of the show,
Money.
Michael Campion.
Friend of the show, Michael Campion, killing it this episode.
Yeah, as
everybody's
per usual.
killing it this episode. So good. It's very good.
Oh my god.
But anyway, we find out Max didn't fail necessarily. He didn't get a F. He got a B.
What?
Which,
I mean,
last
that's
time I
basically
checked,
failure.
is not an F.
It's not.
I don't know what you're talking about. Every time I get a B, I personally take a gun and shoot myself in the foot to remind myself.
Well, Harrison,
Oh,
you're
no.
not a failure like me.
How do you know, Zach? How do you know?
Because you shoot yourself in the foot when you get a B.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many B's have you gotten? Is your foot just like hamburger meat now?
What hamburger meat is left? I have to literally find my foot in the closet so I can shoot.
Oh.
I like the idea that you cut off your foot and you just shoot this foot that's like hanging in your closet. Every
Because
time you
I
get a
shot
B.
it off, Zach. I've gotten a lot of B's over the years.
After the first time they had to amputate, they could. And
No,
they
not
had
the
to
first
amputate.
time.
And I know,
Not the
Harrison, you were
first
just like,
time.
oh, can I keep it?
Yes,
reasons?
of course.
It's like one of those things where he like he puts his foot on like a dartboard and just
It just starts shooting it.
yeah, that's what you get, foot.
I'm just imagining you coming home and your parents are like, Harrison, we got your report card. And you're like, give me a minute. And you just hike up to your room, rifle through your closet for this rotting foot. This is disturbing. I don't know why we're having so much fun.
I was going to say, like, Harrison, I was going to say your parents, you just come home one day and your parents are like, Harrison, we have your report card. And they just hand you the gun.
Yes. I mean, that is what they did the first time. After a while, they felt deep remorse, but I kept doing it anyway.
This was learned behavior.
This was learned behavior. It's a cycle of violence that's gone back in the Bloom family for several generations.
Now we're starting to get disturbing. Let's move on to something happier.
Anyway, yep. Max got a B instead of an
Mm-hmm.
And now he's never going to get into Dartmouth. J Money says Dartmouth, which he in a previous episode. It's a callback. It's great.
I didn't even remember he said that, but I mean, I believe it.
Yeah, that was during his summer school phase.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he said something about getting into Harvard or Dartmouth.
Dartmouth.
Who cares if he doesn't get into Harvard or Dartmouth?
Could still get into Yale.
Yale.
South America.
South
America.
God.
Anyway, guys, Steve is here.
Steve, yay! And Steve's gonna teach J Money how to drive.
Steve is gonna teach J Money how to drive. I felt really stupid because when Steve entered, I went, woo! Because anytime a recognizable character enters, the audience cheers. And the audience didn't cheer this episode.
Oh,
which
that's right.
I want to point out, we usually complain about the audience cheering over trivial things, and they didn't. They made me look like a fool. but they're doing better.
But yeah, Steve is here, and DJ is telling him, like, oh, I can't find anybody to teach J Money how to drive. And he's like, oh, I'll do it. I'm great at driving, and it'll give me a chance to get to hang out with J Money a little bit. So he teaches J Money how to drive.
Guys, this is a Steve J Money episode.
Yes. Last episode was a Fernando J Money episode. This one is a Steve J Money episode.
Yeah.
They are delivering on our sad boys.
Yes.
Yes. Our favorite sad boys all get the spotlight this week.
It's so good.
Anyway, it's at this moment that Nadia, Fernando's mother, walks in with Fernando and company and runs into DJ. And I just want to say, DJ, she says she's here in California on business. And DJ asks what business, and she says none of yours, which is a repeated joke that Fernando made earlier when Ramona asked what their family business was. Is the family business crime?
Yeah, Fernando comes from a crime family in Argentina.
Is it crime?
Wait, hold on. I'm cracking this wide open. If Fernando is from a crime family in Argentina, does that explain why he, despite being very bad at driving race cars, he is still a race car driver?
What?
They bribed his way in.
Oh, they bribed his way into the. Oh, that would make so much sense.
Yep.
It's the Argentinian
he's just
mafia.
Crashing every race, and he's this stain on the racing industry because they keep pushing him through with bribes.
The Fernandez Guerrero mafia.
Of course.
Oh no.
Yep. We got the 5 families.
Oh, wait. Is their family industry the illegal pickled herring trade?
Oh my god.
Just the Horowitz family.
Because of his Jewish side. Every once in a while I'm reminded of the fact that Fernando is Jewish, and it makes me very happy.
I just love the idea of, like, you got your famous crime families, the Corleones, the Sopranos, the Fernandez Guerreros.
Yes.
Anyway, also, DJ does not know about the lie.
Yeah.
So Fernando,
like
Kimmy, and Ramona have to cover for. Yep. Yeah. Although also knowing DJ, she's just going to shut them down. So they kind of have to keep her in the dark.
Yeah, I guess so.
Though it is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I do really like DJ says something about, like, well, I was just going to go do some laundry, accidentally playing into the lie. And Ramona very loudly goes, DJ is very tidy.
Yep.
Yes.
Really working her way towards that exorbitant sum.
Ramona killing it with that protagonist energy, working towards that exorbitant sum.
Ramona, good liar. Also important in this scene, we find out that Fernando has always been afraid of the sea.
Yes. And also, his family has been doing whatever they can to get over it. They even tried immersion therapy. So they just held him underwater.
Yep. It's a good, funny episode.
Again, this sounds like the kind of action that would only be taken by a crime family.
Fernando is sleeping with the fishes.
Like, oh, my son's afraid of the water. No. Guess we'll just throw some weight on him and throw him into the sea. Did it work yet? Are you not afraid of water yet?
I guess we have to leave him in longer.
Fernando's family is definitely a crime. They're definitely into crime.
Yeah, but even though their ruse is going great, guys, Stephanie and Jimmy show up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Nadia is very concerned, but also very turned on. Immediately, she's like, "Who is this strong, handsome stranger in your house?" Which, by the way, like, Jimmy would have been at, I assume he would have been at Kimmy and Fernando's wedding.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah, you're right. What the hell?
I guess he was younger. Maybe not the himbo he became.
Yeah, I mean, he was also a traveling photographer at the time, I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
So maybe I'm sure he would have made time to go to his sister's wedding, but
you're saying Jimmy Gibbler, Mr. Respect Women, Mr. Wholesome, would not make the time to go to his sister's wedding? That's
entirely fair. Yeah, there's also a very good line here where they're like, "Oh yeah, this is my brother Jimmy," or Kimmy's like, "Oh yeah, this is my brother Jimmy and Stephanie. They live here too." And then Jimmy's like, "No, I live at Fernando's house." And Kimmy's like, "Aw, yes you do. Yes you do, Jimmy. Good Jimmy." And she starts petting him, and it's very.
And then they
nice
give him
wholesome.
A sponge, and he's so excited by it, and he runs out of the room.
She tells Fernando's mom, "Look, he's a little slow, but I love him because he's my brother." And then she gives him a sponge, and Jimmy is very excited by the sponge.
And I think she says, like, "Here's your sponge," like, as if this is a normal thing they do.
and then Jimmy's like, oh, nice. I'm gonna soak up so much stuff with this. He's
so good. We love him. Jimmy. I love him so much.
We love Jimmy. Adam Hagen-Boo. Absolutely wonderful.
Kills it. Then Kimmy, in order to finally explain the ruse to someone, she drags Stephanie into the kitchen, explains everything. Says, like, "So we're just going to say you're, a moocher dating my brother for free boarding." And I very much appreciate that Stephanie says, "It's not so far from the truth."
Again, Steph is a mess.
Steph is a mess.
However, they then follow it up by saying, "Oh, also, this is Fernando's baby now." And she's
also, I told Fernando's mom the baby is mine. Okay, bye.
Bye.
And Stephanie's like, "Wait, what? Kimmy?" And then runs after her.
Kimmy. But I know what you're thinking. How are things going on the Wake Up San Francisco set?
Oh, well, I guess. Well, Max is getting ready for his Rube Goldberg machine, and there's another kid there. Not Spencer. His rival from earlier in the series. A new kid who was apparently his new rival.
I guess they couldn't get Taylor. That's my theory.
Yeah.
They couldn't get... Well, it's because the entire Fuller family put a restraining order on Larry and his family after the events of that hot tub episode.
It's true.
Oh, right, when he just straight up stalked DJ.
Yeah. I want Larry back.
I will say, it's a funny implication that there are just many kids who just hate Max.
Yeah.
Oh god, that is
I don't know about you. I've never had any nemeses in my life.
But
Max has had more than one.
Oh, Mark, you are missing out.
He also tried to run for class president, and they hated him for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just want to say you're missing out on the whole nemesis thing. I mean, I've had a nemesis for a while, and it's great. It's like a fun little thing. We're pen pals. We write to each other. We like fight it out every other Tuesday. It's great. We make like a little event out of it.
Do you guys like tie those notes that you send each other to like rocks and then throw them through each other's windows?
Yes, exactly. Sometimes I use a carrier pigeon if I can't find a rock. But
I maybe misspoke because now that I think about it, I do fight the Shadow King every full moon.
Oh, well, there's a nemesis.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We are destined to... One of us is destined to kill the other, and we must fight until the end of time.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Guys, I don't know how I forgot about the Shadow King. That guy is like the worst.
How could you forget about the Shadow King?
Imagine. My only nemesis I mean, are my 2 feet that I keep shooting when I get B's. But that's over now because I'm out of college. So I guess that rivalry is over.
Your feet are horribly disfigured, but at least they won't be disfigured anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, Spencer is very upset about the obvious and overt nepotism that has gotten Max here. Max is like, I'm a normal person. They're going to treat me the same as everybody else. And Danny comes out and says, there's my favorite grandson. I can't wait to treat you better than everybody else.
A very normal thing to say to a person.
And then Becky walks out and she's like, also my favorite nephew. We are the hosts of the show and we are both related to you.
And then the kid's like, isn't there anyone here you're not related to? And Max is like, oh, okay, well, what about that camera lady? And then Danny reveals that that's actually his cousin.
Yeah, Danny's like, oh, it's your cousin. This is a family business.
I do want to point out, because feels like a good time to bring this up. I was looking through IMDb. I was looking through some of the user reviews on IMDb for this episode. One of them is 1 star, 1 out of 10 review for this episode. For this episode, Crazy. That is like one of our favorites in the series. And here is why. I don't want to like say the entire thing, but basically the reason why is like Danny is mean and is mean to every child besides his grandson. So I hate this episode. The entire episode is bad.
Danny is always mean.
And it's like that's the joke. That's the comedy. It's like
that's what's funny.
It's wait, hold on. I want to see if I can find
Except for Ted Lasso, good people generally aren't funny on shows.
Like the title of the review is like least favorite episode since the disastrous second half of season 3. I think they mean disastrous, but they spelled it with a G for some reason.
Which also the second half of season 3 is when we thought the show got good.
Yeah.
Who is this person? Where do they live? And can I beat them up?
Oh, Danny and Becky are being really mean and prefer their family over everybody else, and that's obvious nepotism. They hate everybody else. Might as well be called the Tanner family takes precedence, not precedence. Presidents over everyone in the world. I feel bad. This is probably like some child who wrote this.
I know.
Oh, no.
I do also want to say I also did think this was like the best Danny Becky episode. Yeah. They were both very funny.
There's also another
episode.
Review where it's a 5 out of 10. Says 1 good plot, 2 bad plots. The 1 good one is the driving plot. The other 2, Fernando's mother and the Rube Goldberg machine, are bad because Danny is mean to everybody and Fernando is mean to DJ. So that's a bad episode.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I don't want to judge this person, but I think it's funny that they have like opposite opinions of us.
Yeah.
That they hate the episodes we love, and we love the episodes they hate.
But yeah, I thought I'd bring that up because it's like, no, that's what makes the episode work.
Yeah, it's comedy. It requires a little bit of conflict, you know? Yeah. People being mean to each other and stuff.
Yeah, or even it's a TV show. It kind of requires some conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have liked the episode better if they were like, oh, it's my favorite grandson. And I also love this kid just as much as my family.
Yeah.
But let's go over to the plot where people are just having fun and loving each other. Except J Money and Steve's car broke down.
Oh, no.
Steve says J Money was doing pretty well. He only hit 2 out of 4 garbage cans.
Which is hey, you gotta accept those victories as they come.
Hey, not 2 out of 4. He missed 4. So it's 2 out of 6.
2 out of 6. Right, my math is off.
He only hit a third of the garbage cans.
That's true.
It's a pretty good ratio.
Good track record.
Hey, a third is better than a half, like Mark just said. So like we're slowly making our way up to none.
Yeah.
Better than my first driving practice.
Where you killed a man.
Dark things were done that day, Mark.
Well, yeah. I mean, by that point, your feet were already horribly disfigured, so you couldn't step on the gas and the brakes accurately enough.
Of course, yeah.
That was where the problem started.
Yeah.
Harrison, you really shouldn't be driving. I'm gonna say it. You.
Well, it's fine now. I have prosthetics.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should either stop driving or get prosthetics, and there you go.
But anyway, Scott Wenger is killing it this episode, much like everybody else in this episode.
Yeah.
And also Steve doesn't know how to fix a car.
Yes, that is also true.
Steve says, you think I don't know how to fix a car? And J Money immediately goes, no.
Again, very immediate responses that are like the perfect things to say.
Yes.
I'm gonna give credit where credit is due, because this is like the first episode where this is like a thing, and Candace Cameron Brare's directorial debut. She's good at directing.
She's good. Like, everybody's really good in this episode, and it's all really working.
Fucking killed it.
Yeah.
we don't always love her as DJ, but she really kills it in this episode.
Yeah.
She's even good as DJ.
She's good as DJ in this episode. That's true. Maybe.
Yeah. So, the car is broken down. And then
the car's broken down. And next we move into a very normal scene where Fernando's mother has put up a giant mural of her and Fernando, sort of in the pose of like the creation of Adam.
Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. In the nursery.
Yes.
It's going to be the first thing that baby remembers.
A mural of Fernando and his mother.
Oh, no.
Because that way she will always be watching over the baby.
Fernando really likes it, though. He thinks it's beautiful.
To be fair, it is a very good drawing. It's a very good painting.
I'm not sure
I mean, like, they're rendered fine. I don't think the composition or any of the artistic choices that went into it are particularly great.
I just think it's funny.
It is funny.
Yep. Yes. But also Jimmy and Stephanie run in. Jimmy says, like, oh, who made that mural of Fernando and his hot sister? Guys, there are some sparks flying.
Yeah, if Jimmy was single, man, they would form a good connection. Also, their family though, so it's a little weird. But
yeah, I was going to say, like, it's a little weird if Jimmy ends up with Kimmy's mother-in-law.
Yeah. Is that considered incest? Is that weird? Has that happened before?
It's certainly weird.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely it's also definitely happened before.
Yeah.
In the world.
Oh yeah.
I always find it weird when siblings end up dating like their partner's siblings or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That has happened though.
Yeah. But sparks a flying between Fernando and Nadia. It's very good. I like that. I like that that's an element of it, that she's very thirsty for Jimmy. Did I say sparks flying between Fernando and his mother?
Jimmy and Fernando's mother.
Jimmy.
I think you said
Jimmy and Fernando's mother.
I think you did.
Good. I say a lot of things, and sometimes
they make sense. Other times they don't.
One day, to destroy your political career, Mark, I will cut together this episode where you say, Fernando and his mother, and I'll be like, sparks are flat, and I'll just cut it, and it'll be like, Mark supports
I was about to say, you have like
Fernando and his mother.
You have hours of me saying pretty crazy shit from this podcast.
That's
all
true.
Three of us, honestly, none of us can
have
ever
so
run
much
for office.
blackmail material on each other.
Fernando and his mother are a very bad baby.
That's true. I mean, the whole baby hater thing.
They could have gotten a better baby.
I just want to see someone. There's like an attack ad, and it's like Mark going around kissing babies in his political campaign, and on top of that, it's just like it's like, oh, they couldn't have gotten a better baby.
But no, and then I'd come out and say I was misquoted. The way I said it, what I said was, oh, they couldn't have gotten a better baby.
Oh no, you don't understand.
This is a really great baby. Guys, I know how to do politics.
It's like that happens, and you're like, no, wait, you don't understand. I was talking about Fuller House, not the baby I was kissing, and you look even more like a sociopath.
Just start throwing Fuller House around during the political debates.
Anyway, back to Wake Up San Francisco. Spencer very impressively put lights in wine bottles.
Very, very good.
I was very underwhelmed by his project.
Yeah.
He was just like, I reused wine bottles by putting things in them.
I was really expecting there to be a joke of like, because the animation joke was like, oh wow, you must have a really great fake ID, and I was like really expecting the kid to be like, no, my dad just has a drinking problem, and then they didn't do the joke. I was expecting to just
my dad just loves his wine.
He loves his wine, and he got all of his craft ideas from the Hallmark YouTube channel.
My dad loves his wine like a certain sitcom character who I will not mention by name because I do it too often.
Is it Frasier? Is it Frasier, Mark?
No, it's Niles, Frasier's brother, but also yes, Frasier.
But anyways, now it's Max's turn to do the Rube Goldberg machine. And he starts it up, and it doesn't work.
It fails at the last minute.
It fails right at the end.
Gets stuck.
It gets stuck.
Stuck.
Max has this breakdown where on TV he says how he's a failure.
Out.
He got a B. He's not a straight A student. He starts freaking out and he accidentally destroys the set in a Rube Goldberg-esque fashion. So
and
it's
also,
very appropriate.
Not even really ruined. He just knocked a bunch of stuff over.
Honestly, when we say ruined the set, a sign and the backdrop fell down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not much actually happens there, but they say that it costs $80,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what they later in the episode they say it was $80,000 worth of damage, and it's like, how? How's that?
This is a scam.
A sandbag
scam.
dropped. That's all that happened. Maybe it's the shame of seeing the guy who shows up eating the sandwich behind the set.
He's suing for $80,000.
Yeah, he needs a settlement. Anyway, back in the alleyway, the car is broken down. Steve can't fix it. But guys...
Oh man, guys, it's starting to look hopeless. If only there was someone here who could help and knew how to fix cars. Oh man, it sure would be great if Matt were here right now.
Well, guess what,
You know what
Zach?
would be even better? If he had a popped collar for some reason.
Well, guess what, guys? Matt shows up with a popped collar.
Whoa!
Okay, I remember like that one scene, and I remember it happening so much more like suddenly than it did.
Yeah.
Because like
It's still pretty sudden.
it's still very sudden, but I was like having
Matt just like shows up.
Yeah, he just shows up randomly in this random alley, and it's like okay,
He walks on screen.
Jackson
Matt,
texted me.
yeah, Matt who just happened to be walking by. Well, yeah, and they also mentioned that J Money texted him. And I was like, oh, for some reason I remember it being like Matt was just walking by and just showed up.
I know.
But
I wish it was that. Matt, hey guys, just happened to be walking by and I see you're having some car troubles.
Yeah.
But Matt goes to fix the car. It doesn't work. There's a very good line where J Money says, "Are we sleeping here tonight?"
Yeah, that's great.
But guys, Steve treats the engine. Also, we should say that they set up earlier, Steve, the only thing he knows about cars is how to cook a tri-tip on the engine.
yes,
Which J Money thinks is very cool.
well, it is very
does
cool.
sound pretty good.
It is very
it's
cool.
objectively very cool.
It's objectively very cool. We love it. But Steve thinks outside the box. He approaches the engine like a foot, follows the nerve endings, and Steve is able to fix the engine.
Yeah.
Looks like Matt didn't need to be
What?
here anyway.
Well, Matt is here for one reason.
Yes, Matt is also here for one reason because he's like, okay, well, guess I gotta go now. And then J Money
Well,
asks
it's
about-
very good because Matt says, "Well, got to get these groceries home."
Yes, that's what it
Yeah.
And
was.
Steve says, "Hey, do those groceries include any tri-tip steaks and tinfoil?" And Matt just says, "Do you know me?"
He just
like-
regularly buys tri-tip steaks and always buys tinfoil.
Do you
At
have
the
tri-tip
grocery
steaks and
store.
tinfoil? Of course I have tri-tip
I'm not a
steaks and
maniac.
tinfoil, my guy.
Oh, yeah, of course I have tri-tip steaks and tinfoil. Why wouldn't I have that? I'm not a maniac.
They decide to just go for a ride. Matt also says, "I also have potatoes we can bake." And guys, my next note is just boys night.
It's boys' night, Steve.
It's boys'
Matt
night.
and J Money. I love how J Money has been brought into the amazing bromance with Matt and Steve.
I know. I did not know how much I needed Matt, Steve, J Money boys night.
Oh, it's so good.
But I
Yeah,
definitely
I love
needed it.
It's great. I love it.
Yep. It's great. I just want to stay on boys night forever imagining that. I wish we had a whole episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, we move on
go,
from it. So.
We go back to the house. We're in the room, and DJ and Danny are consoling Max. DJ tells him it's okay to not be perfect, and that, perfectionism is just going to get you down and make you unhappy, and it means you're never going to take any risks. And so it's okay that he's not perfect. And again, it's a pretty nice scene. Last episode, I talked about how I'm often underwhelmed by the parenting lesson consoling scenes in this show, but I also kind of liked this one.
Yeah.
I just want to say, and also it's very good because Max says, "Well, how do you get over it? Your perfectionism?" And I think Danny says, "You don't.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something that stays with you for the rest of your life.
It stays with you for the rest of your life. You will never be happy, but we'll try to remind you that it's all okay. All right."
Yeah, that's all you can do, I guess.
Yep. J Money and Steve come home. They're both just like amazed by each other. Steve's like, he did a great job driving, and J Money's like, he did a great job cooking steaks.
Yep.
Yeah, and fixing the car.
Yep. And DJ's very impressed by Steve. Steve has a line where he says, well, there's a lot you don't know about me. And then he goes, there's a lot I don't know about me.
He self-actualizes in this episode.
He's so good. He self-actualizes, he smooches DJ, and he immediately leaves.
Yep.
And anyway, more good news.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah?
Nadia, who Jimmy refers to as Mrs. Mama, has decided to move in.
Oh, boy.
Yay! And even Fuller House.
Yep. Well, not quite as full because she's kicking DJ out.
Right, because she's the maid. And will no longer be needed now that, I guess, because she wants to be the maid, Mama? I guess, all right.
Yep.
Mama Fernandez Guerrero is here.
But Kimmy, she can't take it anymore. And she finally tells her the truth, that this isn't Fernando's baby, it's Jimmy's baby. And Fernando...
Stop explaining it like that. It
Stop
sounds
explaining
weird.
it that way.
It doesn't get funnier. It's just... It was... I'm sure it was funny the first time, I'm sure. After that...
Fernando has a very good reaction, which I think he's done before, to be honest, where he goes, what?
You harlot!
How dare you?
You scoundrels!
But Nadia, very entertainingly, is not upset that Fernando has been cheated on. She's more upset that Fernando is shouting at Jimmy. Because she says,
do not shout at the slow, strong boy.
This chemistry between Mrs. Fernando and Jimmy. I love it.
It's very good.
Don't shout at the slow, strong boy. But anyway, she starts insulting Kimmy, and that's when Fernando breaks. He's not going to let her insult Kimmy. He stands up for his fiance. I was going to say wife, but they make a big point of how they're still only engaged in this episode. But he stands up to his mother. He tells her the truth, and everybody stands up for Kimmy. Everybody loves Kimmy. Fernando apologizes to everyone. There's a group hug. Everything's good, and that's how the episode ends.
Okay, and I do want to mention there's one thing that I forgot to mention earlier, and I feel like now is probably the best time to say it. Before we go to Sad Boy of the Week, guys, this episode marks the end of an era in Fuller House because,
really,
according to IMDb, and I double-checked this, this is true, this is the final appearance of Lori Loughlin and Becky in the series.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because jail.
Because jail, yeah.
Is this because prison?
Oh my god.
Because jail. So
holy shit.
This is our last chance.
Oh, no.
Make your Aunt Becky jokes while you still can.
She got Max on her show like she got her children into college.
That wine she had at the end was a good farewell gift.
She had a group hug. That was her final group hug because she knew she was going to prison.
That's right. She was at her final group hug. That's so sad.
Rube Goldberg machine, more like Rude Goldberg machine, because she did some pretty rude stuff to get into prison.
I didn't even
right?
realize that because I saw that in the trivia and I was like, no, that's not true. And then I looked through because you can on IMDb you can like go to an actor and see how many episodes they were in, and this is the last one listed on IMDb for Lori Loughlin.
I will say I made the joke. I made the joke, but it is kind of funny that this episode is about Becky using nepotism to get her relative into
oh my god, you're right.
into an exclusive situation.
Oh, you're right.
Oh no.
Holy shit.
It's poetic.
No, it's too real.
Oh. Wow. I didn't even think about that, but you're so right.
Chef's kiss.
But yeah. That's the last appearance of Aunt Becky, at least according to IMDb.
And I will also say she's really good in this episode. This is one of my favorite Becky.
She's very good in this
episodes. So like, what
and
a way to
two great Becky episodes back to back.
Yeah. That's her final two episodes.
Leaving with a bang. This is my favorite Becky Danny episode so far.
Yeah.
And I guess of all, because she doesn't appear in the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But yeah, so with that in mind, our sad goodbyes to Aunt Becky and Lori Loughlin and the many jokes that went along with it. Let's get
I
the
don't
sad
think she
boy
would
of the
really
week.
qualify for this, but do we want to give her an honorary nomination for sad boy of the week?
We can give her an honorary nod.
All right.
Let's see. Who else? Fernando, for sure.
Fernando.
Fernando.
Yep.
Maybe Steve.
Maybe Steve. Although
Maybe
Steve,
Steve.
like, it becomes pretty triumphant.
Steph.
Not a
Not
ton of
really.
sadness
I mean,
this episode, but like I
a
love
little bit
it.
of self-recognition, but we're
Yeah.
always here for Steph.
Yep.
Jimmy?
We could do Jimmy. We could do Max.
I think Max more than I don't think Jimmy so much. I mean, he gets that sponge. He's pretty sad.
Yeah, he's very happy with his sponge.
So who are our nominees? Steph definitely, Fernando definitely.
And is there anybody else? I think.
I mean, we can leave it at them.
Yeah, I think we just leave it at them.
if you want.
Yeah.
I don't think we need
We
to
don't have
force
to make it
anything.
a big debate every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a clear winner.
Sometimes there's like clear front runners.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Steph
Is a mess as per usual.
Steph is a mess. She's wearing the same clothes that she slept in. She admits that she's mooching off of people to live in this house in both real life and in the ruse. I actually don't know if there's really anything else with Steph.
Oh, wait
in
a
this
second. I
episode.
have a nomination.
Mhm.
Kimmy.
We brought up Jimmy.
Kimmy.
Oh yeah.
Kimmy?
Oh,
For a
Kimmy.
second,
Yeah, Kimmy,
I
Kimmy.
wasn't sure if you said
I thought
Jimmy or
you
Kimmy,
said Jimmy.
so I was like,
you said Jimmy. Yeah.
No. I said Jimmy the first time, but no, Kimmy.
We could
She's
do-
pretty sad this
Oh, yeah,
episode.
Yeah.
Kimmy's pretty. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do Kimmy.
sure.
Sure.
We'll finish Steph first.
Well, yeah. No, I was gonna say I think that's kind of.
Oh, yeah.
So she admits that she's mooching off of everybody, and plus she has to pretend that her baby isn't her baby.
Yes.
And then I guess in the end she's forced to say nice thing. Well, she's not forced to say nice things about Kimmy Gibbler. She just does, but I'm gonna include that. I think that's it for Steph. Really,
Yeah.
I appreciate how consistent Steph is a mess is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's something that we didn't really notice on our first watch. There was something that kind of jumped out at us on the repeat watch for the podcast. But yeah, Steph is a
know.
mess, and we love her for it.
Steph is a mess. Let's see. So Kimmy, her mother-in-law, who hates her unless she's pregnant, which thankfully she is, I guess.
And he uses that pregnancy as a weapon.
Yep, uses that pregnancy as a weapon. But her mother-in-law, who hates her, is visiting. As she says, the devil wears Prada, but without the Prada. Ramona says, "So you mean the devil?" And Kimmy says, "Don't say these things about your grandmother."
Just such a mom thing to say.
Yep. She is roped into an elaborate ruse to fool Nadia. She stands by her principles. I want to give her credit and says, "I'm not going to lie about Steph's baby." She immediately compromises her principles and lies about Steph's baby. She keeps pushing with this ruse. She has a very good line when they're in the nursery with the mural. DJ's coming in and they stop DJ from entering the room by giving her Tommy, and she says, "Oh, but I wanted to change Tommy." And Kimmy says, "Oh, change him in the car. It's much more challenging."
Yes, that's a very good line that we forgot to mention earlier.
Which is possibly one of my favorite Kimmy lines in the series. It's a very small line. Blink and you miss it, but I liked it a lot.
It's very good.
So she sure is jumping through hoops. She again messes up the "I'm a surrogate for my brother and his girlfriend" and says, "I'm carrying my brother's baby," which is a very easy thing not to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To just say I'm carrying Stephanie's baby.
Yeah, exactly. She gets yelled at by her mother-in-law, who hates her again. But then everybody sticks up for Kimmy. And it's all good. Yeah. So Fernando is terrified because his mother is visiting.
God. As one is off to get.
Yes.
He immediately and pretty unprompted comes up with an elaborate ruse that he forces everybody in the family to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
He becomes a sort of Dickensian villain.
Yes.
I will pay you a great sum.
An exorbitant sum.
An exorbitant sum.
Teenage daughter.
Teenage daughter. Maybe not so Dickensian, but definitely a villain.
Yeah.
Very good. He keeps going with the ruse and lying. He loves the portrait that his mother made of him.
Although she painted over the mural that DJ made for Tommy.
Yes, very important. And then in the end, when things start to unravel, he can't handle it and keeps lying.
Yep.
There's a great moment where DJ kind of like bluffs and says like, okay, I guess if you're kicking me out, I'm just gonna leave. And Fernando goes, DJ, wait, you forgot your mop.
That was very good.
Yep.
You forgot your mop.
Very good.
He's like, DJ, you forgot your mop. And then she's like, oh, well, thanks. Leaves. And then she comes back and she's like, okay, seriously, is no one going to chase after me?
It's great.
DJ's
very good in this episode.
Yeah.
Everyone is good in this episode. This is a good
Everyone's
episode.
good in this episode. Good episode. Also, Fernando is afraid of the ocean.
Yes.
Also, Fernando has crashed many cars.
Also, Fernando has almost drowned many times as a kid due to his family's immersion therapy.
Yes. Fernando has almost drowned many times as a kid.
Also, I think we forgot to mention this earlier. There's a point where everyone is in the living room watching home movies of Fernando in the tub. And they're like, oh, and DJ's like, oh, I want to see baby Fernando. And it's revealed that no, this video is from when Fernando was 16.
Yep. We got to basically the end. There might be a little more, but like, can we just give it to Fernando? I think Fernando wins.
I was going to vote Fernando.
Yeah, I'm giving it to Fernando. Yeah.
And with that, I believe...
he has a pretty strong case.
He has a very strong case. I'm happy to give it back to our OG sad boy from way back when we started watching.
Good.
But with that, Fernando takes sole possession of second place on the sad boy leaderboard.
Hell yeah.
He's only 4 behind J Money.
4 behind J Money.
Yeah, only 4.
Damn.
Yeah, J Money has 11 wins. Fernando now has 7.
Oh my god.
J Money.
J Money.
How many does Steph have?
6.
Steph has 6. Steph's right.
Holy crap. I did not expect Steph to be in a clear
I did not expect Steph to be doing as well as this. I also was not expecting someone to be.
I kind of love that Steph is doing. Yep.
I love that Steph is doing well. One thing I will say, I was never expecting anybody to like run away with the sad boy win start. I thought it was gonna be pretty close. But J Money has run away with it.
I thought it would be pretty balanced too. I didn't expect this. But I do like that we are willing to have weird nominations.
Yeah, I do like how we have some weird nominations. But like looking at the top, some of it's like about what I expected, like J Money, Fernando, Steve, and yeah, there's like a couple up top, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, like Rocky's got a win. Like, how did that
Macy
happen?
Gray has a win.
Macy Gray has a win.
Macy Gray has one. I love it so much. I like how the board is shaking out. I really do love that Steph is so sad. Steph is a mess. I love it. Steph is a
mess.
Love it. Anyway, Harrison, do you want to take us home? Unless we have anything else to say.
No,
we're good.
I think we're pretty good on that. So, thank you guys for listening. If you want to find us, go to Fullest House Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or to anchor.fm/Fullest House Pod. And I'm Harrison Bloom.
I'm Zach Horowitz.
And I'm Mark Greene.
And until next time, may your houses be fuller, and may your boys be slow and strong.
Boys night.
Boys night.